Hi, everyone. Today, you're going to be working on a completely new learning target. We have moved on from meiosis, understanding that meiosis is how cells for reproduction are created and how they are divided, how the chromosomes are divided into which each homologous chromosome ends up in a different cell is really an important thing to bring forward with us. So just keep that in the back of your mind as we work. Today, we are going to take that extra step beyond the creation of reproductive cells to look deeper into the DNA and really think, how are the visible things we see on organisms and people, how do we inherit them? So with that, the learning target is I can determine the phenotypes and genotypes of offspring. Those words probably make no sense to you. What I see some of you doing is when you see all these new words, you panic, you freeze, you say, I don't get it. Just keep in mind today, the objective of today is really to expose you to new vocabulary. There is no expectation that you walk away today with full understanding of any of these words. They are going to be what bring us into the next 2 to 3 weeks of study, and you will have the rest of the unit to really master these words before you're actually assessed on them. So please just do your best with your understanding so that I can give you feedback and so we can learn together. All right, so there are multiple tasks. It's actually just broken down. Today's assignment is really just broken down into a cluster of words that kind of are associated with each other and that would go with a video. So the first video you'll watch is another Amoeba Sisters video. You should be very familiar with those by now, called Alleles and Genes. Whew, the word allele is probably seen it and you're probably like, oh my gosh, that's a weird word. So these three words are put together because they all kind of, just like sister chromatid and chromosome, they match, they go together. So a gene, just keeping in mind, a trait and allele, they go together. A gene is a segment of DNA. So when we talk about a gene, we're talking about where it is on the DNA. So you might see it referred to as section 3000 on chromosome 2. So that is the actual DNA that codes for a specific trait or characteristic. A trait is a characteristic coded in DNA. So these two words really go together. A trait would be something like your eye color or your hair color or the texture of your hair, or whether it's curly or straight or wavy. And an allele is a form or variety of a gene. So for example, let's go back and you'll see examples in the video, but if we're talking about your traits in your hair, for example, one allele might be curly hair, one might be straight hair, one might be for wavy. So those would be the forms of the gene. The trait would be the way your hair that is curly or not. The gene would be actually where on the DNA that information can be found. Okay, so on the video, hopefully you'll find something besides curly or straight hair to talk about. Just give an example, pause as you go. The video's a little bit long, so there's 15 minutes for this section. Moving on, there is a video about pea plants that you'll see. It's supposed to be a little goofy and funny. It is super short. You're going to need to pause and rewind, pause and rewind, pause and rewind. So the first little section is talks about a scientist named Gregor Mendel. He actually was a monk. And watch it very quickly. Do a quick, what did he discover? And then for more information, you'll click on this link, biography.com. And I ask for you to add on to your answer. That can be bullets. I'm not looking for a race paragraph. I'm not looking for anything in particular, just anything you glean from quickly reading this biography, which is just a few paragraphs. Please don't spend more than 10 minutes on this section. Okay, task 3, purebred, hybrid. These words you might have heard before. Purebred means the parents of the same breed or variety. So when we talk about plants, we might say, hey, they're both tall plants. That would be, or they're both short plants. Hybrids, on the other hand, are bred from parents of different breed or variety. So that might be when you breed a tall and a short plant together. In the video, it's going to be talking about the color of peas, and there's little pictures that will make you should make a connection between where in the video it is, because these are actually screenshots of the video. So if you see this image and you haven't found the answers to your questions, go back. And I have given you times. So for example, the answer to question 1, what did Mendel find when he crossed a purebred yellow and a purebred green plant? That's at 52 seconds into the video. All right. And I'm kind of giving you hints on what you should fill in here. Okay, task 4, dominant, recessive. These are the big words we want in this unit. Dominant means that it dominates, it's in charge. So you get 2 copies of a gene, one from each parent. The one that's dominant is the one that shows up. So for example, we always think about eye color as something we inherit from our parents. Brown eyes always dominates over blue eyes. So if one of your parents has blue eyes, one has brown eyes, it's very probable that you inherited that brown eye gene that will dominate over the blue one. So the brown eye is what's going to show up. Even though you might have a gene for a recessive gene that's covered up or masked. So in the case of eye color, blue eyes would be recessive. So maybe you do have a copy of a blue eye gene, but you have brown eyes because brown eyes are dominant. All right, moving on. Try it out. So here's an example of yellow and green seeds. It is what is in the video. Capital Y is dominant. So anytime you have this, where you have the 2 together, you're going to see yellow, even though that green gene is there. All right. There's a typo here. Fixing it. All right. The only time you'll see the recessive is when they are together. All right. When they're not together, that you will always see the dominant. So those are the examples for seed color. You're going to then fill this in right here. See where I'm typing? You're going to feed that in for the color of flowers. So if you're really stuck, just say, hey, yellow is dominant. And anytime I saw that yellow, so purple is dominant. So anytime you see that capital P, it's going to be purple. Even if the lowercase p, meaning the white flowers, is there, it gets masked or covered. All right, task 5, homozygous, heterozygous. You've probably seen these before. I frequently get giggles in class. Homo means the same, hetero means different. So when we have homozygous, that means that the alleles are the same. So in the video, you'll see, and this is kind of the example, you pull over here and you type it in. The same might be capital B if that stood for brown eyes, or lowercase b if that stood for blue eyes. Those are the same. Heterozygous is when they are different, having one dominant allele and one recessive. So this would be the example that you probably will see in the video and put over here. Okay, expressed in genetics, it's when you actually see it. So sometimes a gene or an allele will be present and it's not expressed, so it is covered up or masked. There's really no need for an example here. All right, try it out. So here, all you're going to put in the yellow, remember we always fill out yellow, is whether something is homozygous or heterozygous. So capital Y is your example, that is homozygous. So same thing, if they are the same, it is homozygous. If they are different, it is heterozygous. And last but not least, and scanning down, we have genotypes and phenotypes. So here's where you need to start watching at 1:30. Spend about 10 minutes on that. Genotypes would be the actual combination of genes. So they're the letters that represent what is on the DNA. Phenotype is what you see. It's the appearance. So in the case of our seeds, that's what you're going to give over here. So we might have a tall or short plant. That would be a phenotype. And then the combination of letters, which in our examples, we'll use capital T and lowercase t, are what you will have for the genotype. All right, then you'll fill this out. So over here are the genotypes. Okay, and here are the 2 alleles, capital Y for yellow, lowercase y for green. And over here are the gene phenotypes. That's what you see. So your answers here will be yellow or green. So you type in here, yellow, because Y is dominant for yellow. The heterozygous, remember, you're going to put the one that's dominant. So you want to look over here. The capital letter tells you what is dominant. So hint, hint, that one is probably yellow. All right, and you want to fill this out for round or wrinkle seeds and tall or short plant. And if you have a little time left, you can go through these words in a Quizlet set. You will see that Quizlet set over and over again. So the best thing you can do today is start getting familiar with these words, and slowly, hopefully, you will commit them to memory and they will become something that is a little less intimidating. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And Hopefully you have a good time with these videos.